Good afternoon. Welcome to our Thursday Live. It doesn't matter where in the world you are watching from. The reason for this session is to sit back, relax, and be inspired to get crafty. I am Nadine Vosloo, better known as Mama Tjhoko, and I'm here as an instrument to give inspiration. Nothing that I say is cast in stone. I am purely there to unleash the creativity that might be hidden somewhere inside of you. I am going to do a session today that was actually inspired by one of our very talented Australian customers, family members, because with Tjhoko Paint, we don't have clients, we have family members. Once you open that jar of Tjhoko, you will feel the love, the passion that every jar is packaged with, and then you become a family member. So Maria Achenbach from Australia inspired this session, and thank you for that inspiration, Maria. Please also note that we have a Tjhoko Paint Australian Facebook page and Facebook group, so please go join those. If you are local from South Africa, or if you are based in Australia, go like and join us. The same counts for Switzerland, Ireland, New Zealand. So let's form part of a beautiful, authentic Tjhoko community. We are going to create an underplate today with a stencil technique, and I'll share tips and ideas. But you, and this is something that I always say, is work with colors and designs that make you happy. Color is a very personal thing, so make sure that this is just inspiration and you do what makes you happy. And then a very DIY cracker. This is for a Christmas table setting, a Christmas cracker for that perfect Christmas table. And I will tell you now what items you'll need. I am based in a small town on the eastern coast of South Africa, and with no fabric stores, material stores to purchase fabrics from, with a very tight schedule that everything needs to fit into. So I actually got some very old pillowcases in my linen cupboard that I'm going to use as the fabric, and that I've cut up more or less the size of an A4 page. So this is an A4 size piece of fabric, natural woven fabric, so it's cotton. That is the fabric that you will need for the DIY cracker. I'm also going to make use of a recycled, upcycled pallet board, and this is something that we always try to encourage with Tjhoko, is to upcycle, recycle, and be kind to nature. What I'm also going to make use of is stencils, Tjhoko stencils, and remember, you use designs that you like. I'm working with a 30 by 30 design with a code 2230-4, and the other stencil that I'm going to use is 22A4-1. Beautiful. You can see they've been used quite a few times and they are still in perfect order. I'm going to use a wet old face cloth that's really nice and wet. I'm also going to need a Hamilton's fiber paintbrush, some stencil brushes. You can see my equipment is quite used. A piece of scissor for those, if you have beautiful pieces of lace or ribbon that you want to use on your cracker to cut according to size. And I'm going to make use of a toilet roll, or this can also be the inside of kitchen paper, the inside cardboard piece that's just cut in half. And then the Tjhoko colors we are going to work with today is the following. Nade, this is not your traditional Christmas color or color selection, but we can be adventurous with color and create something authentic, new, different. True blue and Alice gold, and these are the colors that I will use on the napkin, as well as on my underplate, except for the gold I'll only use on the napkin. and then some neutrals to just change the color of my piece of fabric, my pillowcase that I've cut up. So I do want to change the color a bit. For that, I'm going to use Lively Lazelle, also an Australian family member that this color is named after, and all the Lazelles out there. Lovely Lorinda, a color named after my mom, and Hello Hetty. And I actually received a message from Hetty today, also a Tjhoko family member, and Cloud White. So these are the items that I will need, and I'm going to start on the napkin. I'm going to do this. It's not a napkin, it's a pillowcase. It can also be a napkin, so you can do whatever I'm doing now on a napkin. You can use your napkin as a DIY cracker, and in the same time have a cracker, a napkin on your table, on your Christmas table, and fill the inner of your cracker with chocolates, nougat, a special gift, maybe a nice soap or whatever creative you can, anything creative you can think of. Okay, I'm going to work on my fabric first. Very important when working with Tjhoko on fabrics is to ensure that your fabric is a natural woven fabric and not something synthetic. I'm going to use my wet face cloth, and I'm going to add firstly some Lively Lazelle on this, and I'm just going to reiterate what I've mentioned earlier. You work with colors that you like and that will suit your color scheme, but I do want to change the color of my fabric that it looks more mottled and more like something like a more textured piece of fabric. So I'm working first with Lively Lazelle. I spread the Lively Lazelle on my wet face cloth, and the reason why I've selected a face cloth is the fact that it actually gives texture on your fabric, so it gives this mottled look, and because of the fact that the face cloth already has some texture on it, it just adds to the texture that I want to create on my fabric. Okay, so I first dab some Lively Lazelle on my fabric, and this is an optional step. I just didn't like the flat color of this piece of pillowcase. Next, so this you will do on the entire surface. I'm going to add some, and you will see I just use drops of paint. Next, I'm going to use Hello Hetty and dab, and I'm just doing a section just so that the process makes sense. And of course, when you do it, you can work faster. I just want to make sure that everyone knows exactly what's being done, and if there are questions, that's why we're here, is to answer them. Lovely Lorinda next. I just moved to a cleaner section of my face cloth. Lovely Lorinda. And then this is a step that I always mention. When you do paint techniques and you just want to brighten up any situation, you use a light color. And for this, I'm going to end off. Oh, this is actually so beautiful. Kaylee, can you zoom in there? Thank you to Kaylee, my assistant, daughter, best friend. That's my videographer for the session. I'm going to end off what I'm busy creating here with Cloud White. Now, when working on fabrics, the care instructions are as follows. Once your paint has dried, I will iron the back of my fabric with a hot iron, and if I want to wash, make sure your machine is set on a cold cycle, and most important, make sure that you work on a natural woven piece of fabric. This is also a solution to duvet covers or pillowcases that can't be used any longer, and you want to hide anything, any stains or imperfections on your fabrics. Instead of painting it solid, you can dab, dab, dab to create something new. Okay, so once this is done, I'm not going to do the entire surface just for time's sake. You will have something that looks like, and I'm going to untie this cracker so that you can see what happened on here before I'm going to continue with the stencil work. So here you can see on the dry piece of fabric how the mottled effect just forms a beautiful part and backing a base, a beautiful base to whatever is going to be created on top. Next I'll show, was it clear, Kaylee? Okay. I'm always in trouble because apparently I don't show things for long enough, so I'm trying my best so that everyone can see. I'm just always so excited for the next step. On my piece of fabric, and now this is actually that I do want to give advice on, wait for your dabbing work to be dry before you start with the stenciling, just to prevent the paint from flowing on wet fabric. I'm just going to continue with the stencil work because we don't have time to wait, and I didn't have time to prepare more. Okay, so I'm now putting my stencil onto my on top of my fabric. I'm working on a flat board underneath. I'm going to work with the colors Nade, True Blue and Alice Gold. Stencil brush, very important when stenciling on fabrics, make sure that you remove any excess paint. You don't want the paint to seep in underneath your stencil. I have a piece of kitchen towel here. I remove any excess paint, and also where the paint loves to gather is on the edge of your stencil brush. So just make sure that you remove any excess. You can rather apply a second coat later than having paint seep underneath. I press my stencil down with my free hand. You can also secure your stencil with masking tape, and in circular motion I spread my Danny Stare onto True Blue, it's not Danny Stare, sorry, my True Blue onto my stencil and my fabric. This is now done on a piece of fabric to create a cracker, a DIY cracker with, but this could also have been pillowcases. It could have been maybe curtains that you want to upcycle, a tablecloth that you want to give a new fresh look and feel to. Instead of buying new items, we upcycle and recycle. So you decide how dark, and I'm actually making some areas darker than others, some lighter than others. And I have Maestro outside that I'm trying so hard to train to just behave. I've actually given up on that. Next, I'm going to work with Nade and just a clean paintbrush, but stencil brush, but you can of course clean your brush, make sure it's dry. You don't need many different paint brushes to do the job. And on top of my True Blue, just here and there, I'm adding some Nade. Nade is named after me. There's a beautiful coastal road between Gordons Bay and Kleinmond on the west coast of South Africa, where so many times I've seen this color in the waters as you drove that beautiful coastal route. I love the ocean. Okay, I'm cleaning my stencil brush now because I don't have a third one. And I'm going to stir my gold very well. It's also a water-based metallic, and the pigment is quite heavy, so it sinks to the bottom, so you need to stir well. Always use something that has more of a flat surface, not a round object to stir paint with. So I'm using the back of this cake fork. Clean it, it's all water-based, non-toxic, so it's safe to use. And what I do is I dip my stencil brush in my gold, and I just subtly want to add that festive feel to my napkin or cracker or pillowcase or tablecloth, whatever it is you are decorating. As you can see, it's subtle, it's not in your face, it's just that little bit of glitz and glamour. Here I have a dry stencil brush, let me proceed with that. As you can see, my equipment has worked hard this year. And I'm going to dab, and the reason for this is my paint underneath is still wet. It hasn't had time to properly dry before I have started with this, but I do want to show you what beautiful effect it leaves. So I just want to add some more of the metallic, and I'm dabbing. And there's always a solution to anything. Here I don't have drying time, so we're making some alterations to the process. Okay. And you will add as much as you want, and also the nice thing is you can lift your stencil, see what it looks like, and if you want to add more, you simply place it back in position and add more where you want more. That's exactly what I'm going to do over here. Oh, I actually love this gold on here. It looks so stunning with the blue. Okay, and now I remove, and how amazing is that? And even the fact that only this one side has the mottled effect actually also looks stunning. Now what you will do is you will fill that cracker with that special something. You will roll up your cracker with a fabric. Mine is still wet, but you will roll it up. Take some beautiful lace or ribbon. You will tie the ends with your lace or ribbon, and you have a DIY cracker. I hope the process makes sense. Okay, next we are going to focus on that underplate. Now that underplate can also be a cheese board. It can also be a tabletop. It can also be a furniture piece. This is just something that we use as Christmas decoration, but just let the creativity and the ideas flow. I'm going to use wood, plain wood, like I've mentioned earlier, cloud white. Dip my clean dry paintbrush in my cloud white. No undercoat is required. No lacquer thinners is required on clean wood. And I paint my first coat. Now, many times we get questions on what paintbrush or roller do I use. Your surface will determine what equipment will be needed to paint with. Large flat surfaces, 225 millimeter mohair roller works best. I have videos on the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free of charge, and there are so many tips that I share on each video. A foam roller is temperamental. You need to know what you do when you're working with a foam roller. If you roll too many times over the same area, roughness occur. If you press too hard, lines occur. So a foam roller requires some practice. You can also spray paint with Tjhoko paint by adding water to your paint to make it a bit thinner so that it actually moves easier through this spray paint applicator. So go watch the YouTube channel, please, Tjhoko Paint. If you need any more help or ideas, subscribe and turn on those notifications. And it's just there to give inspiration. Okay, once I have painted my surface in white, I will allow for my paint to dry. And this is something that is important. Okay, so there's the white painted surface, one coat. A second coat won't be needed in this instance, as it is a decorative item. It's not something like kitchen cupboards, melamine kitchen cupboards. There we would never recommend only one coat. Over here, I have one that has dried already. Okay, it's dry. It's one thin coat and it's perfect for the next step. I'm going to work with a stencil. And I'm just going to do a small section so that the process makes sense. And this is what we are going to create. So this is the effect that I'm going to create. Two colors, true blue and nade will be used. Same principles as stenciling on fabric. Rather use too little paint than too much, to prevent the paint from seeping underneath your stencil or leaking underneath your stencil. I remove excess paint. This is a pattern repeat stencil, so I can repeat as needed to have the same pattern sit everywhere. I'm not going to stencil solid. And I actually use so little paint. And you can work fast. Now, I'm doing this on an underplate, but imagine this technique on a chest of drawers, even on a wall with a larger stencil, maybe some muted colors. It will look like wallpaper, and it can be done in a much more cost-effective way. On larger surfaces with larger stencils, a foam roller do work faster. Just make sure not too much paint. The secret with stenciling is little paint. And this is also color inspiration for those that need some color inspiration. You can also secure your stencil with masking tape, something that I haven't done. And I just want to show you how to repeat the stencil. So I will move my stencil down. It was like that. I move it down. There will be the... So what I do is I move the entire stencil down until my pattern repeats over here. And then I complete the bottom section. And then the same will apply to this side. So I'm going to put my stencil like this and complete that section over there. But let's focus on this. So this was done now with true blue. Now I move over to nade. And just here and there, I'm going to fill up with nade. This is something that you can get the kids involved in and let them choose their own designs and create beautiful Christmas decor. You can even create your own gift paper, wrapping paper with these techniques by just stenciling onto newspaper or stenciling onto brown paper. A DIY Christmas. And there's nothing better than a DIY gift from someone that has spent time to make something special for you. And that reminds me, I received the most beautiful earrings from Ingela this week, and I'm not wearing them. Ingela, I promise next week I will. And there's Dan and True Blue and Nate combined together. And if you want to do something, add something extra, and this is also optional. I just want to make sure that the paint is dry. I'm just going to focus on this section. So step or tip will be to allow for your paint to dry, and then just lightly sand. And then it will look as if the design was embedded in onto your surface. How stunning is that? And change direction, and I'm using a 100 grit piece of sandpaper. Okay, and afterwards you can use our clear glaze, especially if this is something that you will use as a cheese board. You can use our clear glaze. I didn't even use it, just to add an extra coat or layer of protection and make it more stain resistant. All Tjhoko's products are eco-friendly, non-toxic, water-based. Kaylee is trying so hard to get this camera stable. I don't want to say it out loud, but the men has been fired. Yaku and Yaku are no longer allowed to take Thursday Lives due to numerous reasons. So Kaylee is doing her best here. And there you have a beautiful inspiration of, okay, this is what this one looked like, or looks like. And there's the one that I've prepared earlier. And our fabric with a stencil technique on, that can either be a napkin, it can be a pillowcase, or it can be your personalized cracker, which we will roll up, tie some, of course with the inner inside, tie some ribbons around it, and we have a beautiful idea for any form of decoration, as a matter of fact. Okay, this was our inspiration session for today. Two things. Currently in South Africa, Namibia and Botswana, we have the Tjhoko Champs competition running. So please log on to our social pages or our website, tjokopaint.co.za, to find out more. And then for those of you that are based in South Africa, currently we have a beautiful TV show on DSTV 147 every Thursday evening, 5:30, which is today. Plan van Aksie. In English, it's called Plan of Action, so don't miss it. If you have access to DSTV channel 147, please look at the beautiful TV room makeover that we will show tonight with Tjhoko family members from Kempton Park. My message for this week is, let's count our blessings. Let's focus on everything that we should be thankful for, and also reach out to those that need our time. Love to all. Have a blessed week. Stay creative. And I'll be in touch next week with more inspiration. Mama Tjhoko is signing out. Bye-bye.